A very good morning, and with wishes for a very happy Dussehra, I, Aishwarya, welcome you all to this edition of Breakfast News. Let us start the news bulletin with the headlines. Vijayadashmi or Dussehra being marked across the country with traditional fervour. Devotees throng temples to mark the victory of good over evil. Famous Ravan Dahan to be held in the evening. President, Vice President and Prime Minister greet people on the occasion. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu discusses India's development initiatives and its efforts for collective global fight against terrorism during his interaction with the King of Belgium. Attends opening ceremony of the 12th ASEM to address a plenary session today. Prime Minister Modi to hand over keys of houses to 40,000 beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana at a ceremony in Shirdi in Maharashtra today to also launch development and welfare projects worth 475 crore rupees there. Centre's advisory to Kerala government to ensure peace across the state following protests over the Sabarimala issue. Home Ministry seeks full compliance of the Supreme Court order allowing the women of all age groups to enter Hill Shrine. Temple board to meet today to find amicable solution to the row. And Indian shuttlers Saina Nehwal, Sameer Verma and Kidambi Srikanth enter quarter-finals of the Denmark Badminton Open. Men's hockey team trounced Oman 11-0 in their opener at the Asian Hockey Championship. Our top story this morning, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu would be intervening during the first plenary session of ASEM Summit today being held in Brussels. On Thursday, the Vice President held several meetings with the leaders on the sidelines of the ASEM Summit. He called on His Majesty, the King of Belgium, at the Royal City Palace. He also interacted with the Prime Minister of Portugal and Greece, the President of the European Council and the European Commission. He will be addressing the plenary session today. Take a look at this report.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu will address the first plenary session of the 12th Asia-Europe Meeting Summit in Brussels today. On Thursday, he attended the opening ceremony of the meeting. Earlier in the day yesterday, he met King Philip, the King of the Belgians, at the Presidential Palace. The two leaders discussed their expectations from the 2018 summit, which is centered on the theme Global Partners for Global Challenges. Vice President Naidu elaborated on the priority accorded by India to the urgent need for collective efforts of the global community in addressing the menace of terrorism. He also shared his perspective on the successful flagship initiatives of the Government of India, including innovative governance to address the complex challenges faced by the country as the world's largest democracy and to simultaneously put India on a faster, inclusive growth and development trajectory. India thanked Belgium for its consistent support of its candidacies at the UN and other international organizations. Both sides expressed commitment to boost investment, trade and people-to-people ties. Later in the evening, Vice President Naidu interacted with the Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Costa. He also met the President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, and the President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, at the Europa building. He also met the Prime Minister of Greece, Alexis Tsipras, on the sidelines of the ASEM Summit. His bilateral meetings with world leaders will continue today as well, while the second plenary session is underway. Raj Kamal Rao's report from Brussels for Rajya Sabha TV.
Vice President Naidu will be attending the session being organized on the theme Building the Future Together, promoting inclusive growth and sustainable connectivity at the ASEM Summit. Now, India has been actively participating in the two continent-based group and engaging with the member nations. Here is a look into the importance of ASEM.
The key characteristics of ASEM are informal process of dialogue and cooperation between European and Asian countries, with a special stress on equal partnership, high-level and people-to-people link. It also offers a platform to discuss regional and international issues. As per estimates, ASEM represents around 62.3% of the world population and 57% of the global GDP, and almost 60% of world trade. This massive economic strength of the region is a main reason for high-level engagements between the 53 partners, 30 European and 21 Asian countries, the European Union and the ASEAN Secretariat. Keeping the dynamics in mind, India joined the ASEM in 2006 with effect from 1st January 2007. Ever since the inclusion, India has always been an active participant. India held its first summit-level participation in October 2008 when then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh led the delegation to Beijing. In 2010, then Vice President Hamid Ansari. In 2012, then Foreign Minister Salman Khurshid. In 2014, General V.K. Singh led the Indian delegation. Then Vice President Ansari attended the 11th ASEM held at Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And on to the other top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the valedictory function of the Sai Baba Samadhi centenary celebrations in Shirdi today. He will unveil the plaque to mark the laying of foundation stone of various development works of Sai Baba Sansthan Trust. The Prime Minister will also launch development and welfare projects worth 475 crore rupees. He will also release a silver coin to commemorate the centenary year of Sai Baba Samadhi. Prime Minister Modi will hand over the keys of houses to 40,000 beneficiaries of the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin and will attend the e-Griha Pravesh ceremony. He will also address the gathering. The Prime Minister will also visit a Sai Baba Samadhi temple complex. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe arrived in Delhi on Thursday on a 3-day visit. Wickremesinghe is expected to hold wide-ranging talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday. During the visit, the two Prime Ministers are likely to review the status of India-assisted housing projects in Jaffna. Home Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will also call on Wickremesinghe. Now, this is the Sri Lankan Prime Minister's fifth official visit to India since taking office in 2015.
You are aware of the very close friendship and partnership between India and Sri Lanka. Development cooperation between India and Sri Lanka, of course, will be one of the items which could be discussed. Beyond that, I think at this stage it will be difficult for me. I'm sure once the meeting is concluded, then we will have some details for you.
On to some other news, the Women and Child Development Minister Maneka Gandhi has urged all recognized political parties to form internal committees to look into the complaints of sexual harassment. Maneka Gandhi said that she has written to 6 national parties and 59 regional parties asking them to form internal complaints committee against sexual harassment and also post information about it on their website. Section 4 of the Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act mandates every organization that employs women to constitute an internal complaints committee, which is to be headed by a senior women employee of the organization. The minister had earlier also written to all Bollywood production houses to form an ICC, following which about 7 of them formed such committees. The Patiala House Court in Delhi took cognizance of former Union Minister M.J. Akbar's defamation case against journalist Priya Ramani, who has accused him of sexual misconduct around 20 years ago. Akbar has been asked to come and record his statement on 31st of October. Additional Chief Metropolitan Magistrate Samar Vishal heard the submissions of a senior advocate Geeta Luthra, who is representing the former minister, that the defamatory tweets and similar social media posts of Ramani have caused irreparable loss to his reputation built over 40 years. The lawyer referred to the sequence of the events and said that Akbar had to resign from the post of Minister of State for External Affairs due to these allegations made in the defamatory tweets and other posts. She also referred to the reputation of Akbar as a journalist and sought judicial intervention into the matter by taking cognizance of the complaint. And the CBSE on Thursday introduced reforms for granting affiliation to schools. Now, under the new reforms, the state governments will certify a school's infrastructure, and new schools applying for affiliation would need to get a no objection certificate from the district education officer, who will inspect the infrastructure of the school. After the NOC from the district education officer, the board will do another inspection for learning outcomes. The new provisions will also mandate schools to make a full disclosure of the fee structure and prohibit them from levying hidden charges. The schools cannot force students to buy books, uniforms or other school-related items from a specific shop or establishment. The CBSE is also asking schools to give an undertaking about making sports mandatory. Javadekar said that the complete revamp is being done to ensure speed, transparency and ease of doing business with the board.
हमने पहला आज मेजर सुधार किया है कि जिला शिक्षण अधिकारी जमीन, सेफ्टी और बाकी सब जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के मसले हैं, जो स्कूल के रिक्वायरमेंट है, जो एनओसी देते समय होते हैं, उसको एक बार ऑथेंटिकेट करेंगे जांच करके कि इस पर सीबीएसई पुनः जांच नहीं करेगी। सीबीएसई उसमें सीधा केवल एक नया इंस्पेक्शन करेगी जो केवल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का नहीं होगा, वो आउटकम का होगा। ये दूसरा बदलाव है कि सीबीएसई के स्कूल में यूनिफॉर्म कहाँ से खरीदे, जूते कहाँ से खरीदेंगे, टाई कहाँ से खरीदेंगे, इसका कोई कंपल्शन नहीं होगा। कहीं से भी दुकान से वो जो यूनिफॉर्म होगा वो छात्र डालेंगे, लेकिन कहाँ से लेना ये दुकान का कंपल्शन नहीं होगा। फिर जो भी फीस का डिस्क्लोजर है वो सब डिस्क्लोजर होना चाहिए कि खर्चा कितना, उत्पन्न कितना, आय कितना, ये सब समझना चाहिए। और तीसरी बात हमने कही है कि हिडन कॉस्ट नहीं चाहिए।
State-owned oil companies on Thursday reduced petrol and diesel prices by 21 paise and 11 paise per litre respectively after a gap of 13 days. The oil firms cited a drop in the cost of international crude production as the reason behind the price decline, which has happened for the first time in the past 2 months. The rates were reduced by a minimum of 2.5 rupees per litre across the country on 5th of October when the government cut the excise duty on petrol and diesel by 1.5 rupees a litre and asked the oil PSUs to subsidize the fuel by another 1 rupees a litre. And in some good news, for the first time, Indian Railways will manufacture metro rail coaches at its Raebareli factory under the Make in India scheme. The coaches will be manufactured by robots and will be on par with those being manufactured by Canadian firm Bombardier, currently being used by metro trains in the country. They will be 40% cheaper than those procured from China and other countries and will be equipped with Wi-Fi, CCTV cameras, mobile charging outlets, among other facilities. In addition, they will also boast of safety features including signalling, door control and train management systems along with the modern surveillance gadgets on board. It will also be the first factory in the country where coaches will be produced by robots. And former Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Narayan Dutt Tiwari passed away in New Delhi on Thursday. 93-year-old Tiwari was shifted to the ICU of a private hospital in July after multiple organ failure. The veteran Congress leader also served as the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand and as the Governor of Andhra Pradesh. President Ramnath Kovind, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu have expressed grief over the demise of N.D. Tiwari. In a tweet, President Ramnath Kovind hailed Tiwari's contribution for the development and public welfare of Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. The Vice President also condoled the death of the veteran leader. And expressing grief, Prime Minister Narendra Modi called N.D. Tiwari a towering leader known for his administrative skills. In Breakfast News, time for a very short break here. We'll be right back with more news. Welcome back after the break. A big story coming in from Kerala. The centre has asked the Kerala government to ensure peace across the state following protest against the Supreme Court order allowing women of all age groups to enter Sabarimala temple. In an advisory, the Home Ministry said that the maintenance of law and order, including providing security to women visiting the temple, was the responsibility of the state government. Meanwhile, Kerala government in its communication has assured the centre that the apex court order would be implemented. Amid mounting protest in Kerala against the entry of women of menstrual age into the Sabarimala temple, the Travancore Devasam Board will meet today in Thiruvananthapuram to find an amicable solution to the row. Ahead of the meeting, the TDB, which administers the shrine, on Thursday said that it was ready for any sort of compromise to end the standoff. Following the Supreme Court order allowing the women of all age groups to enter the temple, protests were held across Kerala on Thursday. Demonstrations intensified as the date of opening of the temple neared. Protesters camped at the base of the trek at Nilakal and at the last stretch of the trek at Pamba to stop women from entering the temple even before the gates of the temple had been opened. And on Wednesday, the protest turned violent as well. Here is a ground report.
The Sabarimala temple in Kerala opened its doors on Wednesday evening for the first time since the Supreme Court lifted the centuries-old entry ban on women in the 10 to 50 age group. But violent protests ensured that no woman from the previously banned age group could enter the shrine. There was chaos on the road leading from Nilakal, the gateway to the shrine, to Pamba in the foothills, from where the devotees start the arduous 6-kilometer trek to Sabarimala. Activists clashed with the police, leaving many injured and bleeding. The closest any woman in the 10 to 50 age bracket could reach was a point near the Pamba river, from where the pilgrims have to trek nearly 6 kilometers uphill to the shrine. Women journalists were heckled, their equipment damaged, and young female Ayappa devotees were turned back as hordes of activists laid siege to the road leading to the temple. A Delhi-based woman journalist of a foreign media outlet who trekked the Sabarimala hill was stopped midway by Lord Ayappa devotees opposing entry of women of menstrual age into the hill shrine.
She decided to go up and wanted to interview and see by herself. And when she reached Marakutam, she decided to come back after seeing the crowd. And they were shouting slogans and they were emotionally charged. So she decided to come back. Police presence was there. Police was ready to take her. She has given her statement. She has categorically stated the police was all willing to take her up to the temple, but she decided to come back.
The tense law and order situation prompted the district authorities to clamp prohibitory orders, banning large gatherings in a 30 square kilometer radius of the town. A statewide shutdown was observed in Kerala on Thursday by a group that calls itself the Sabarimala Protection Committee. The shutdown saw a huge response with only a few private vehicles being visible on the road. Stray incidents of violence were reported in parts of the state like Kozhikode, Malappuram and Thiruvananthapuram. Shops and markets were shut. Railway commuters faced the brunt of the shutdown as taxis and public vehicles stayed off the roads. Dozens of demonstrators were detained for staging protests in violation of Section 144. The left-led government in Kerala called the attacks politically motivated violence. Talks between board officials and major stakeholders of Sabarimala, including members of the Tantri family, those from the erstwhile Pandalam royal family and devotees associations, failed to yield results.
A request, only my personal request, please keep the system and custom of the Sabarimala temple.
There are some rituals that have been followed up and it has to be followed spiritual, because in some of the temples which has been where there are some rules and regulations, speculations and the rituals has to be followed strictly, and you can't change all these things in a fraction of a second.
Both sides now await the Supreme Court's decision on the review petitions, which it is expected to take up shortly. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Big story coming in from Rajasthan, where the number of people infected with the Zika virus has risen to 106 on Thursday, with 6 new cases reported from Jaipur and 2 adjoining districts. Of the total affected people, 25 are reportedly pregnant women. And in view of the rising cases, the centre on Wednesday rushed an Indian Council of Medical Research team to the state to intensify vector control measures. The team of experts from ICMR has changed the insecticides which are being used in the city and neighbouring districts to kill mosquitoes that spread Zika, dengue and chikungunya viruses. Zika virus has been found in some mosquitoes taken as samples from the Sindhi camp and the densely populated Shastri Nagar area. Intense fogging and other anti-larvae activities are being carried out in the areas from where cases have been reported. According to the officials, almost all Zika virus-infected patients are healthy now after the treatment. News from the national capital, where the air quality in the NCR region adjoining New Delhi remained very poor for the second day in a row on Thursday. Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amarinder Singh met with Prime Minister Narendra Modi to press for the compensation to the farmers to discourage them from burning stubble. Singh told the Prime Minister that one of the main causes of air pollution is stubble burning and that the air quality levels could further deteriorate if the matter is not addressed urgently. The overall air quality index of Delhi was recorded at 315, with several areas nearing severe levels of pollution. All the international news now. Bhutan voters have chosen centre-left DNT in the general election. The party won 30 of the 47 National Assembly seats, the lower house of parliament, according to the provisional results. The voters handed an overwhelming victory to DNT, a new party headed by a surgeon, in the third democratic election held by the Himalayan kingdom. DPT secured the other 17 votes in the runoff contest, which was limited to two parties. The first round of voting was held in September, in which DNT and DPT got the maximum votes, while the ruling PDP came third and failed to qualify for the last round. Now, DNT leader Lotte Schering, a 50-year-old surgeon, vowed to work for nation building in the country, as well as tackle youth unemployment, rural poverty and criminal gangs. Big story coming in from Afghanistan. A powerful Afghan police chief was among at least 3 people killed in a shooting on Thursday by the Taliban. Top US Commander General Scott Miller was the target. Miller was not hurt in the assault claimed by the militant group that also wounded at least 12 people, including 3 Americans and a provisional governor. Security forces swarmed the southern city of Kandahar during the shooting that shuttered shops and sent terrified civilians already on high alert for attacks into their houses. The intelligence chief of Kandahar was also among those killed. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condoled the killing and has said that India stands by the brave people of Afghanistan. Let's get you all the sporting action now. Indian shuttlers Saina Nehwal, Sameer Verma and Kidambi Srikanth have entered the quarter-finals of the ongoing Denmark Badminton Open tournament. In the women's singles, Saina Nehwal defeated world number 2 Akane Yamaguchi of Japan for the first time in 4 years to make it to the quarter-finals. Saina Nehwal defeated Akane 21-15, 21-17. She will next face Nojum Okuhara of Japan in the quarter-final today. In the men's singles, Sameer Verma defeated Indonesia's Jonathan Christie 23-21, 6-21, 22-20 in a close contest. In another men's singles match, defending champion Srikanth defeated 2-time Olympic champion Lin Dan of China 18-21, 21-17, 21-16 to set up a clash with compatriot Sameer Verma. Both will face each other today. In the women's doubles, pair of Ashwini Ponnappa and Ensinki Reddy defeated the South Korean team of Lee Sho-hee and Shin Seung-chan 18-21, 22-20, 21-18 to get a berth in the quarterfinals. An Indian men's hockey team beat host Oman 11-0 in their opening match of the Asia Champions Trophy. Teenager Dilpreet Singh's hat-trick helped the Indian side seal the victory. Of the 11 goals that India scored, 5 came off the 8 penalty corners created by the Indian forwards. India opened the scoring through Lalit Upadhyay in the 17th minute, after which Harmanpreet Singh and N. Sharma scored 2 back-to-back goals for India in the 21st and the 22nd minute, respectively. And today, India celebrates the festival of Dussehra, also known as the Vijay Dashmi, as this commemorates the victory of good over evil. President, Vice President and the Prime Minister have greeted the nation on the occasion. President Ramnath Kovind greeted people on the occasion of Durga Puja, Dussehra and Vijay Dashmi. In his message, the President said, on the auspicious occasion of Durga Puja and Vijay Dashmi, I convey Shubho Bijoy as well as Dussehra greetings and best wishes to all my fellow citizens in India and abroad. And extending his good wishes to the people, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu also tweeted that the Dussehra festival reminds us of the victory of good over evil. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also took to Twitter and wished the entire nation on Dussehra. Meanwhile, as the country is soaked in a festive mood, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also participate in the Ravan Dahan program along with President Ram Nath Kovind in the national capital. Congress President Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi will also participate in the Dussehra celebrations today. And so, the Dussehra or Vijayadashmi is a major Hindu festival celebrated at the end of Navratri every year. It is celebrated in different ways across the country. However, its significance remains the same, celebrating the victory of good over evil. So, we all here at Rajya Sabha Television wish you a very happy Vijayadashmi. Thanks for watching.
जय भवानी जय भवानी जय भवानी। पापियों के नाश को धर्म के प्रकाश को पापियों के नाश को धर्म के प्रकाश को राम जी की सेना चली श्री राम जी की सेना चली राम जी की सेना चली।